Welcome in. Hey, McGarrett. How's it going? You are really the first. I just started the stream a minute ago, so. But welcome in. Put that there. And let me get this stuff started. I have some echo with the music or my audio. Well, let me know if it continues. There's not much I can do about it from here. I don't have any. I only have one microphone connected, so. Unless. No, the only audio that's coming through should be the mixer. You hear me twice. Test. You can hear me twice. Let me go to the main window and see if that changes. Any change at all? Why is the capture messed up again? How's that? Is that better? I'm just wondering if it's the display capture. Camera's also frozen. I think I did that myself. This one. This one. Go. I'm only seeing my audio once. McGarrett. J Meister, are you hearing me twice? Am I echoing? Is there any chance, McGarrett, you have two copies of the video playing, like the preview video in Discord as well as the YouTube stream, both playing? Yeah, I'm assuming McGarrett has something going on with his computer where he has two copies of it running. All right. Let's look at what we've done so far. So we're going into Harrison, and we're looking at what we've done so far. So we have the Harrison Farms map here, as you can see. And what I've been focusing on is what I focused on last time, which is the houses. Now, as you can see, the houses here have a bit of decoration now. And what we've done is we've created placeables for each of the houses, and not just pulled the house in, but pulled in a placeable file. So if you go into game, you'll be able to delete this house and you'll be able to get rid of it, which is what we want. So if you look, all of these houses now have decorations around them, right? It's very minor. It's little minimal stuff, but they all have decorations around them. See? Lots of little props. And, you know, honestly, just that little bit makes a big difference in the overall look of the map. And the other thing I've done is I've added a few productions. So we've added the small dairy here, just a kitty corner, simple house with houses with decorations. All of these houses up here all have decorations now. The whole bottom of the map has decorations, which looks really awesome. And every one of those houses is removable. So when you remove the house, the decorations go too. And we're going to talk about how I did that. We've also added a spinnery. We've added this flour mill, grain mill, because we have over there, we have a bakery. So we need to be able to make flour. So we have a flour mill. And we also have a BGA. And so there was this big spot on the map back here. It was just not being used for anything. And it's a perfect fit for the BGA from Silver Run, no, what's it called? Riverbend Springs. And so we just borrowed it. And we're going to talk today about how I do that, because that process seems to be a little foreign for people, for some people. And I think that going over that process is, number one, it's a really cool and easy process. But number two, how do we do it? So my goal right now is we're over here, and I think, if I remember correctly, this is the farmhouse right here from Riverbend Springs. Yeah, that's a Discord thing. Renee, thank you for mentioning, and welcome in. When you click on a video in Discord, it'll launch a new video, but it'll also play in Discord. That's super annoying for me. If you click on the actual video itself, if you click on the link, it'll open in your browser. But if you click in Discord, sometimes you click the video and it'll play in the video in Discord and play in your browser. And it's annoying to tell which one's which, right? I can't say that. So anyways, this is the farmhouse from Riverbend Springs. But it looks kind of bland here. No offense, but this looks kind of bland. So let's look and see what Riverbend Springs looks like. So we have Riverbend Springs open. And I'm going to jump down to the farm on Riverbend, which is right here. And if we come over here to the farmhouse, we are looking at the same farmhouse, but it looks way different. Like this one has a swing on the front and a bunch of decorations around it. This one is just a blah, plain farmhouse. And this is a good example of what I'm doing in this, what I've been doing. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on this farmhouse on Riverbend Springs. No, we clicked on the elm. Click on the farmhouse. So I see how it says here, farmhouse _ place. Now if you look, this place. Oh, you are. Oh, okay. Never mind. I didn't know that, Steve. But thanks for letting me know. It would be silly for me to mention two things. So anyways, the Farm 1 has this whole cluster. This is the Farm 1 cluster. This is all the decorations. If we go up one level, these are all the decorations for Farm 1. Now, we don't want all of the decorations. We just want the ones that are around the farmhouse itself, right? And so this will give us the swing set. It'll give us the laundry, the back door, a lot of the stuff by the side of the house, the side house, and stuff like that. And it'll give all of that stuff as something that we give us like a full house. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just go right here, this piece right here, and I'm going to go, you can do it whichever one you want. It doesn't matter which one you want. I'm going to do this pre-placed, the pre-placed farmhouse is actually not what we want. because this triggers something else in the game. But we want this one. So I'm going to go here, go File, Export Selection. Now I'm going to navigate over to our map folder. I'm going to go into the Placeables Residential thing, which is what I've been using. And I'm going to say Farm '01. This is Farmhouse '01. Right? So let's name it properly, Farmhouse '01. And we're going to save that i3D file here. Now, I believe if we look back over on here, we also have another farmhouse. Is this a farmhouse? No, this is a residential building. So we'll just use the residential building. Anyways. And then what I'm also going to do is I really like this shed construction place here thing. Farm shed old. Whoops. I didn't mean to do that. This one? Farmer kiosk. Is it really that whole thing? It is. Why it's highlighting all that other stuff, I don't know. Looks like the tiny shed here contains the fences. That's fine. I also want this shed because I like it. So we're going to go in here and go to File, Export Selection. This is Tiny Shed 01. Tiny Shed 01. Whoops. Okay. Now we don't need Riverbend Springs anymore. We don't want to save it because we don't want to mess it up. All right. And so what we've done, what do we give us? We didn't give us anything that we can use here yet. But if we go into our folder that we just exported, here, residential, Farmhouse 01. Let's go look at, let's open that in GE and look at that. Okay, now I haven't touched anything, and I'm looking at the farmhouse. The farmhouse is here with all of its decoration and all of its stuff, which looks way better than the one that's actually in the map. Because it's basically with props. You want the props because the props make it look good. So we're just going to use that as it is for the most part. We see where it says pre-placed farmhouse. Just to make sure nothing happens, I'm going to move this up one level and remove that because we don't need it to be pre-placed. We're going to make it just placed. Or is it pre-placed? It is pre-placed. Yeah, we're going to not make it pre-placed. Okay, so what we're going to do... Now, the problem here, if we look at these... Most of these decorations are okay. But if we look at these decorations, as we kind of look at them, we want to go around the decorations, make sure they're all at 0 height. Right? See, this one's at 3.4. And that's a gravel thing. Let's look at the actual decorations. We just want to make sure these are all at 0. So like this one is up at 0.15. Now the reason it's up at 0, that a little bit up, is because on the map, the ground is not flat. But our ground is. So we're going to go in here and 0 all of these out from a height perspective. Now we're not changing Riverbend Springs, we're changing our own copy of the map. But like some of them, like this one right here, is obviously you don't want to change that because it's up in the air. Water. Let's look at this stuff, make sure we're not moving something we don't want to move. 0. 0. If we look at our attachments, for some reason there's both props and attachments. Awning. No. That should be fine. Clothesline should be fine. Garden cart green. That's on the ground, but that's fine. This one. The laundry basket's on the step, and this construction spot is fine. Okay, so now we have something that's in our map. How do we make that into a placeable? So what we're going to do is we're going to go over here to our placeables directory. Yes, SMB, you actually made it. Go residential form, and I'm just going to take something I already did, copy paste the gas station, rename it into farmhouse 01. I'm coming here and change this into farmhouse 01. Farmhouse 01. Now this is the file name we want. We're not going to use that one yet. We're going to use the original. So file name for a minute. Go back into here. We're in the map now. We come in here and look at this file name. So if we take this file name, copy. This file name I want for now. i3d. Right. Store farmhouse 01. And if we open the data directory, now there already is a placeable file for this in the data directory. Right here, see farmhouse 01. The problem is the one in the data directory uses their assets. And I don't want it to use their assets. I want it to use my assets. So the easiest way to do that is to write my own. But this one is going to render everything, but it's also rendering like a props file, which they already have. But the props file that they're rendering here is not the one that's on Riverbend's or that we have in our file. So we're just going to not use this file. The only thing we're going to use is this right here, object farmhouse. Come here, this. And then function farmhouse. Save. We need to add that to our mod desk. Farmhouse 01. Okay. So what have we done? We've created the XML file for the farmhouse. We've created a new model. So let's see what that model looks like in our map. So if we take this, and I don't want it to be a pre-placed farmhouse anymore. I want it to be a placed farmhouse. So I'm going to put it over here into placeholders residential. Now when I moved it there, you notice that it didn't move. When I just drag these things around, it keeps its position on the map, which is really great because this is what I need. So we're going to change this down from not being pre-placed anymore. It's just going to be farmhouse 01. We're going to get rid of all of this stuff here because none of it makes sense anymore. And then here's the magic. I'm going to right click on the farmhouse 01 here. And I'm going to go to replace with reference file. And then I'm going to pick the one that I exported from Riverbend Springs. And I'm going to hit OK. Now we have that same farmhouse. It hasn't moved. The position hasn't changed. But now we have all of these decorations. Right? Now the decorations don't necessarily line up with where I've placed this farmhouse. So let's change it. Now how do we change it? We can't change it here. Because if you look, these props are here too. Like you can see them. It's okay. But we don't want them there. We want them in the placeable. Otherwise they won't, because this folder right here are placeholders, which means that they're just here for visual helping me build a map. They're not actually going to get rendered into the game. We're going to make sure that they get rendered in the game in a different way. But for now, we need to move stuff around. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this decoration and all the decoration, and we're just going to shift it a little bit. So we're going to kind of have to reference back and forth. So like this laundry, right? The laundry needs to move because that's going out in the street. So we're going to rotate it 90 degrees. We're going to shove it into the house right here, on the back side of the house right here. And I'm just like moving it wherever the heck I feel like it, honestly. Okay, laundry's there. This is too close. So we're going to put that there. We're going to put a tree in it. This windmill thing, we're going to move over here. Like that. And then if we hit save, then we go back to our map, it still looks the same. Why does it look the same? Well, we saved the reference file, but here we need to update the reference file. So now we hit reload reference file, and now all those props that I moved are now moved. So it looks like I have a couple more props to move to make this thing solid. I think I'm gonna put the swing set over here by the back of the house. I'll put the bench over there too, I think. So if we go back over here, again, all we're doing is moving props. Oops, undo. Sometimes when you click, you can click on two things at once. So we're gonna take this like this and put this about right here. And a lot of this is just so that I can decorate the house without like, and yes, I'm decorating, sure, but I'm not like, I don't have to import every single one of these files. I don't have to decide which files to load. I'm just taking an existing decoration pack, and as you'll see, having a decorated house in a matter of minutes. Oops. Oh, undo. Undo. I have to do this over again. I moved the tire swing and not the prefab. And I wanted to move the prefab. Just already listened to that song. Oh. It's not shuffling. And then move this again. And you know, it's obviously it's a there's a little bit of like design here and style. And to each person their own. I'm just doing I basically want to decorate this farmhouse and make it look lived in without actually doing very much work. I'm lazy. Traffic cone. I don't know where I want a traffic cone. I'm going to delete the traffic cone. I don't like the traffic cone. Then this, I think, the light pole needs to be moved like this, I think. If we hit save, come back into our thing, and we go here to farmhouse, reload reference file. And now we've reloaded the reference file, and as you can see, the swing set's on the back of the house where we want it, with the extra tire just kind of sitting on the swing. And then this light pole is right here on the corner almost. We move it a little bit. Let's fix the rotation. 90. Let's move it a little bit. So hit save here. And it's a lot of going back and forth. But reload reference file. Perfect. No. Almost perfect. Save. Now I haven't even gone in the game yet, and that's the cool thing is you're decorating. Reload reference file. And I'm going to leave the little splotches on the ground just because I think that looks good. And then for little stuff like this, for the swing set, everyone knows if you have a tire swing and you are playing on the tire swing, you're going to trample the ground underneath. So the ground underneath the tire swing is totally going to get trampled. And it'll probably look like dirt. Like dirt. No, it's gravel. The name for the things here are a little weird. Mudlight pebbles. There we go. And then we're going to do meadow, green small, for a few other things. Lower grass around some places that'll have lower grass. Get rid of the grass going through the stuff, because you wouldn't have grass growing underneath all this stuff. Again, these are like the little details that you'll either catch or you won't. You don't want stuff in the flower pot or underneath this flower pot or underneath this chair. I think we're all good except for these rocks. Where are the rocks? The rocks are actually a decoration. There they are. We're gonna move these this way. Goes that way. Rotate it. And hit save. Come back here. Come into this. Reload a reference file. Now the rocks are on the path where they should be. Last thing is, we should need a tree. We need a tree. So we're going to come in here into our farmhouse. And obviously it's a prop. And it's a prop around. We're going to go File. Import. And then we're going to go back to our data directory, and we're going to get a tree. It's a data, maps, trees. Apple tree sounds like a great idea. Open. That looks fantastic. Make sure it's centered. And now we have a little apple tree in front of our house. Let's save. Move this up here, props around. Save. Again, reload reference file. Actually, we should rename it. I don't need this place stays stuff. We're going to say decorated. All right. Come in here, replace reload reference file. Now we have our tree. Whoops. All right, so now we have this kind of tie-in between the farmhouse and the map, right? The only thing left is that it is a farmhouse, so it's going to need a trigger. which is the placeable part. Farmhouse 01, and then farmhouse features, sleep trigger marker, sleeping trigger, all of those things we're going to have to make sure are in our placeable because we're kind of replacing it. And again, I'm not going to spend any time. Save. We kind of don't need this anymore. Close that for now. I'm not going to really put any work into actually writing the code for those things. I'm just going to come in here and change this right here, copy, and paste. I'm going to change this from farmhouse, so it has the right triggers. Farmhouse, farmhouse. And then we need sleeping trigger, spawn point, sleep camera, wardrobe trigger. We need all of these. Like that. Copy. And that. And now we have to just make sure these numbers are right. So the sleep trigger marker, come here, back to our farmhouse, sleep trigger marker, it's a different number. So it's this. So I think I could do this. Like that. That should all be good. And then it looks like it's 0, 0. Is that right? 0, 0 for it? Yep. So that means if I come back here, the wardrobe trigger is here in the back door, and that is at 0081. Copy. 008. Too many zeros in there? Nope, 3 zeros. All right. Now we have this farmhouse XML. It's going to create a farmhouse on our farm. Now we have to place it down, right? So that goes back to our placeables file. We've done this over and over and over, and we're doing this. We're just going to keep doing it. So what we're going to do is we're going to copy one of these lines, paste, and this is going to be right here. Farmhouse 01 and 24 because I'm just numbering them. Save. And then we need the position, because right now it doesn't have a position. So we come in the map, we get that from the map. Farmhouse 01. This is our position. Copy. Paste. Shorten these numbers, because I don't like long numbers. And then 237. And the rotation is 0, 0, 0. Okay. Now, if we go ahead and load into the map, what we've done doesn't really seem like it's a lot. And then the other, so let's actually find farmhouse 001. See what we have right here. Pre-placed farmhouse 01. We don't need this one anymore. We do need this part right here, because since it's pre-placed and it comes with the land, we want to make sure that it comes with the land here, or this version of it as well. Because basically we're removing the pre-placed one that was on the map already. We're putting in our own placeable, which just has some decoration, but we still need it to work like a farmhouse. So we're going to hit save, and we're going to load to the map for the first time today. And while I wait for my computer to actually catch up with me, there we go. I'm going to say hi to everybody. Welcome in, everybody. I see SMBModding, Whiskey Creek Farms, Star Spangled Mods, Bruce's Gaming. Welcome in, everybody. Ultimate Sim Gamer, how's it going? And I'll scroll up. I see you guys all chatting. I'm sorry that I've been trying to focus on this stuff to get it working. PCS World, Jay Meister, Steamer Garrett, everyone is here. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for coming along. And I'm hoping we're learning something. That's the whole goal of this today, is to learn something. If you guys have any questions, or I do something too fast and you don't see what I did, either watch the replay or feel free to ask a question in chat. I'm happy to ask things as we move along. Model Houseman, welcome in. Not going to do Riverbend Springs. We're going to do Harrison Farms. Select, deselect all. So we're going to make sure we're only using the map. We're not going to put anything else in. I'm going to put player movement in because I'm tired of walking slow, and I think the base game, you move way too slow. As you can see, our log is still a few errors here and there in the log, but it looks a lot better. We'll show you what all that stuff looks like kind of in the map, because the map looks different now, and it looks pretty freaking cool. Okay, so we spawn in. We have our truck. We have our buildings. And so we have all our vehicles too. And now we have a farmhouse that doesn't look right. Okay, it has a sleep trigger. It has some of the decorations. They're not the right ones. Oh, you know what? I don't think I saved the map. It would help if I hit save on the map. Yeah, I didn't save the map. Okay, let's go back out. I get so like into what I'm doing sometimes I forget like little things like that. Save. Ten 11. Good. So it did save. Now, so it's because what we're doing is we're creating this intrinsic like link between what's in the map, and you're making me this link between the map itself, the i3D file, and the XML and other i3D files. There's this like kind of network of linked things. And if one of those things isn't saved, then everything goes to shit, basically. Steve was asking about triggers. And the question is, triggers have to be as big as you want to trigger. Yeah. So a trigger is the area in which you can trigger that thing. So for a player trigger, it's the area in which your player has to be to trigger it. Think of it like I don't know, think of it, it's just a box. It's just a box in space. And think of it like a building. You put your arm in it, and that will trigger it. You put your whole body in it, that will trigger it. If it's a trigger for like selling something, if it's too high or too low, your vehicle has to be able to trigger it. So if it's too low, your vehicle won't trigger it. Or like if you have a tip trigger, your certain trailers might not be able to trigger it because it's too big. And this is still loading the old file. This is very strange. Oh, I know what's wrong. Does anyone else know what's wrong? Okay, we're gonna quit out one more time. So it actually is loading the right file. So I realized what's wrong. So again, we're this network of things that are all connected. We also have our farmhouse here, but I'm using the old farmhouse. And the reason I'm using the old farmhouse is actually temporary. I forgot to do something. FS icon generator. And so we're going to go into here and not GitHub. We want to use the help folder, select folder. And Harrison Farms and farmhouse and generate. The reason I wanted to use the base game file is it doesn't have all those decorations, which makes the icon simpler. And I want just a simple icon for when you sell your farmhouse. But I want it to have an icon. Not having an icon is no fun. So I want to have an icon. So I'm using the default file for now. And then I'll use my file for when I go into the game. So now we're all good. Save. Now we can reload to the game again. Welcome in, Tony S. Thanks for being here. We are loading the game and staring at code. But what we're doing is we're decorating this farmhouse, which is already on the map. And we're making it so it's not just a decoration. It's a farmhouse. It's not just a farmhouse. It's a farmhouse with decorations. And that's the kind of extra mile kind of what we're doing. It's like, yeah, sure, it worked as a farmhouse. There's nothing wrong with it. But in like 20 minutes, you saw me be able to literally steal something from the base game and make it look way better. And it's just minor stuff. And it's the same stuff that's on the base game, but it's decorations for the sake of decoration, which is the whole point. And now, it's still loading the old file. Why is it loading the old file? If I hide this, the old file there. Did I save this? Farmhouse, the picture was created fine. Placeables residential farmhouse 01, not i3d. I'm watching the user attributes to see if there's something weird going on here. I'm at a loss. I don't understand why this is... It's still loading the old file. But this... Like, it has some of the props. It has, like, different props. Farmhouse 01. Why is this not... Placeables residential farmhouse 01. Cancel. I'm trying to debug here. I'm not sure what's going on. Placeables residential farmhouse 01. That's what I want. Residential farmhouse 1. I mean, are the props not rendering for some reason? It's weird. Like, the one that's showing up in game has a gas tank back here. And I don't even know if there is one that has a gas tank. Does the default one have a gas tank? I think we might have a caching problem, which happens. I'm going to look at the data directory. So, I mean, how do you debug this? How do you figure it out? So, the best thing to do is just to dig in and placeables map US farmhouse 01. Map US farmhouse 01. And let's open farmhouse 01 from a... We're going to open the base farmhouse. Now here's the thing. The base farmhouse, I'm slowly seeing what's happening. This is the base farmhouse. And see, there's no decorations whatsoever. If I'm coming here and I import... data, placeables, map US, farmhouse 01, farmhouse 01 props. Now see these props. This is going to highlight what's actually happening. So see how this actually adds all those props onto the farmhouse, right? Here we go. Hold on. I think we're good. We're good. So basically what's happening is right now we are loading the base game XML file somehow. I'm not sure how, but we're loading the base game XML file, not our file. Which I don't even understand how that can happen. I don't understand how that can happen. We don't want this. No. I think it's a caching problem. I think it's loading both of them. Map. What is this? Farmhouse 01 props will be loaded with this placeable. Why? Doesn't make sense. Like this? Doesn't make sense. What's this? What is this? Oh, it's a soccer ball. Nice. No, Steve. No, I moved it. This one was the original one. And maybe there's no... I renamed it. And all I can think of is some of the, like... There's some weirdness with it. Like this. I don't see why it would, though. Good call. Good call, SMB. Let me look. It doesn't because I'm using my own file. I'm not using... So this original file would call this and load the props, right? This is the original file. This is data, placeables, maps 01, right? I'm not actually loading this. This is not being loaded. that XML file is not being referenced at all, as far as I know. But mine, all it's doing is loading this i3D, and that's it. Nothing else. We can check, I think. If we look at the log, let's look at the log real quick. Here it is. Here's the problem. It is loading the props file, which means it's loading the wrong one. The only thing I can think of is there's a caching issue. And I've run into this before, where it's loaded. The game is loading old versions of whatever I'm working on, which is really, really crappy. And I don't remember. I don't know if there's any way to get out of it, which might make today's stream much smaller or shorter. I've replaced this with every single other building on the map, and it's worked instantly. And this one, for some reason, is giving me a headache. I thought it would be a good example. Apparently it wasn't. But either way, that's the process. And assuming that it works, that's the process. I actually might be... Oh my gosh. I know it's wrong. I fixed it. It wasn't anything nasty or weird. I was referring to this folder, which is my build folder, not the actual folder I'm developing out of. So I was pointing at the wrong mod folder. And I didn't see it. Every time we were loading, I'm like looking at all my development mods and not the mods that should be there. So I was looking at the last build of this, which I sent to SMB a day or two ago. And I was looking at the old build. I wasn't looking at the new build. So I was like, what's going on? I don't understand. It was all because I was using the wrong save game folder. I can't believe I didn't notice that. There we go. It's just the right one. This is the right set of mods to see here. We figured out. All it was is I was loading the wrong version of the map. I was loading a zipped copy of the map that I'm obviously not editing. Not the actual version that I'm currently editing. Oh, I know. Why is this not working? I'm going to go in here and do this. There. Okay, I'm fixing our music too while we're at it. All right. Okay, so now we have the decorated house the way we want it, right? Yay, I fixed it. So I got the decorations. So we have our whole decorated house. We have things the way we wanted it. The ground is painted where we wanted it. We have like stuff. It looks like a house. It looks like a lived-in house and a working house. And the cool thing is that one thing that's missing here are the triggers. So the sleep triggers are not here. Oh, the sleep trigger is here. And the wardrobe trigger should be here by the back door. We just have to make sure the markers are here. Yep. So the triggers are there. And McGarrett was asking earlier about the triggers. So if you look, you see this yellow box? This is debug mode for physics. You see this yellow box? The trigger basically says that if I try to hit the wardrobe, the sleep trigger here, it's not going to work, right? And if you go a little bit closer, and you can see it right here up in your F1 menu, right? I see the F1 menu come up here. It says sleep R, and so I'm outside the trigger right here, and I don't get into the trigger until I'm in that trigger zone, wherever that trigger is. It won't let me sleep, right? Now, the way we control that is really easy. The way we control that is in our model, right? We go to the door and we go to the triggers. This is our trigger. And honestly, this trigger is really tall. I don't know why the trigger is so tall. So if we move the trigger down, right, it doesn't need to be anything higher than person height. And this way you can hit the trigger at the bottom of the stairs. Then our trigger will work at the bottom of the stairs. And the same thing for the wardrobe trigger. Again, these are the triggers that the giants put in. Not me, giants. Giants put these in. I'm just fixing them. And so now I've moved the triggers down a little bit, which to me makes a little bit more sense. And could potentially help the player interact with those triggers. I'm going to move this slightly. Save. And then we need the markers. So the reason we didn't have markers is because before we were loading this file, which has markers. So you see where it says trigger markers? Copy. And then we need trigger markers on ours. Paste. Now we have the sleep trigger marker, wardrobe trigger marker, save. And we didn't change the map. Actually, did we change the map? No, we only changed this file. Save. Should we save it? And then we can go back in the map and see where these triggers working. And see where all that stuff works. So the idea here is you can take anything from the base game and turn it into something. Yes, I use the F5 button to toggle through my debug mode visibility in game. So you hit the F5 key once, you're going to get physics. You hit it again, you're going to get like terrain or occluder or whatever. I'll show you all those. They used to not be labeled. I'm actually happy that they're labeled now because now I can really understand what I'm doing. We're gonna try to fix the animal pen too while we're here, and we're also gonna try to fix the vehicle trigger. Other stuff at this farm. Okay. Okay, so we moved this a little bit. It's fine. Our spawn point is still good because it's actually right next to this tree, which is kind of nice. And then we now have a sleep trigger right here on the doorstep. And if we hit F5, again, F5, I guess it didn't load the new file, that's fine. But you hit F5 and you're cycling through physics, light sources, so it tells you where there's light coming from. Audio source, if you look around, there aren't very many audio files, but there's a few. Like there's an audio file somewhere underneath this map down here, I think. If we look. Yeah, there is an audio source down there. That is something. I don't know what that is. If we hit F5 again. This is occluder. So occluder basically is a map that says don't look through this thing. So protect this thing from looking through it. And you'll see occluders on buildings and sheds anytime that you're close to something that you might need to not look through, or it might have transparent parts. Right, so see there's an occluder here. It's not blocking you from seeing through here, but it is blocking you from seeing through here. And then precipitation is going to be where the game will calculate where precipitation falls. And so it's basically stopping, the pink areas are where it's stopping precipitation for falling. Oh, thanks a lot, Nacho. So basically places where you won't see rain hitting the ground because of other things. And then one more time and it turns it off. SMB said something about a vehicle trigger for this building, and I forgot to hit the player speed, so I'm walking nice and slow. I always forget for this one. For this one, you have to go here. And go here. And then this over here is what? Oh, that's the lights. Okay, and this is... You're gonna make me crouch to get over to this trigger? Oh. Yeah, that vehicle trigger doesn't work. Doors work. But this doesn't work? Yeah, let's figure that one out. I don't know what that one is, but we can figure that one out. So if you come into a placeable that you want to, you have control over, you're wondering why something like this doesn't work. So what I would do is back to that F5 thing. Let's look at the F5. So we have this icon here, but if you look, there's no trigger next to it. Do you guys see that? See how there's no box on top of that trigger? There's a trigger right here. If I come here, nothing happens. So each of these like square things is a trigger of some kind, which means that in the model somewhere there's triggers. So these triggers are for light switches, I'm assuming. These are supposed to be for light switches. Yep, there's one. So this is a light switch trigger, but there's this icon right here, but there's no trigger for it. And I'm wondering if that trigger is over here. It's hard to tell. That's a door trigger. Light trigger. There's no trigger here, yet the light trigger... That's... Oh, I see. Yeah, there's some weirdness going on with the triggers for this building. That's a pressure washer? Well, yeah, but why is it turning on the lights? Why is it not giving me the wand for the pressure washer? Right? And again, this actually goes to what Steve was talking about a little bit. So let's go ahead and quit out. Let's figure out the triggers. I bet there's just some missed stuff in the i3D file. Okay. We don't need this farmhouse. Our farmhouse looks awesome now. We don't need the map because... Well, we don't need it right now. So that... We have to go look at that placeable. Where is that placeable? I believe it's the 81 by 120 shop. I believe. Let's look at our placeables. Beige main, 81 by 21 shop. Yes, it's the shop. Okay, so 81 by 120 shop. Come in here. Harrison Farms, placeables. 81 by 120 shop. We're going to open up the shop itself. Okay. And then we're going to open up the XML file. Because they have to be to go together. All right. Here's our shop. This is the shop we were just in. We're going to go inside, which is super ridiculously bright inside, but that's okay. And then we're going to look at our triggers. So shops. Washer. So the pallet washer is right here. So there's a big box around the pallet washer. And the trigger is right here. This is the washer trigger, 11.0. We come over to our thing. Marker washer. There's no washer trigger. Oh, it looks like the power washer trigger is not working. It's not set up as a power washer. This is not written very well. Why is there a wind turbine? Where's the code for the pressure washer? And why does it have like a sugar beet cut stuff? That doesn't need to be here. All right, we don't need the animated objects. I don't care about that. What I do care about is find. So the info trigger is set up as the washer trigger. That's not what the info trigger is. So if we go back to our model, let's fix it. Our info trigger, this is the pressure washer trigger, which doesn't make sense to be that big at all. There's no wind turbine. What is going on? The Lance node, marker washer, sound switch, LAC power washer. Okay, so this is using the legacy ag power washer. Great. But the code is not correct at all, which doesn't help us at all. Power washer, don't care. First of all, let's figure out why would you have a pallet spawner in this building? Oh my gosh. It's like they tried to make a bunch of stuff and just stopped before fixing anything. Okay, here's the workshop. So the vehicle trigger for the workshop, let's see it. I need to see it. So the vehicle trigger for the workshop is basically the whole building. See that? So anywhere inside the building is a trigger for the workshop. So that's good. And so the vehicle trigger 80, let's make sure that works. Where's the workshop? I don't need all this TF stuff. I don't care. High pressure washer, hand tool holders, workshop, vehicle trigger 80. It's correct. The player trigger, visibility. Okay, so this whole entire area over on the right side is the player trigger. So you don't even have to walk all the way over there to trigger the vehicle workshop. You just have to be over here by these pallets somewhere in general. That seems like a really bad place for a vehicle trigger. Right? So that's the vehicle trigger. The marker wrench is over here by the toolbox. That's fine. Player trigger 81, marker wrench 82. Yes, of course you own the workshop. Duh. Why would you set that to false? That's silly. That doesn't seem right. Workshop selling point? That doesn't seem right. What's not a selling point? So let's go in the data. I don't think that seems right. So let's look in the data directory. So we're going to go here. And we're going to come in here. And this is the data directory one. This is one of the data directory. The garage workshop is solar panels. So I guess it is right. Selling points, player trigger node, icon node. Oh. Oh, maybe you tie those together. Never seen that. Okay. Let's put that there. Copy. The icon node here. Marker wrench. Own workshop. This one should say true. Mobile workshop false. They do have functionality for mobile workshop, but I haven't figured out how to use it. Anyways, that should work. I don't understand why it's not working. Let's make sure this node actually connects. Oh, you know what I bet it is? I bet this player trigger is not set up right. So we come over here to the rigid body. It says player trigger. And if we open up the data directory, some of the, so then they did new stuff with the triggers. The triggers are weird in the new version of the game. And so if we have, where'd that go? Placeables, brandless, workshop.i3d. And the biggest answer here is, if you ever aren't sure, go back to the base game. The big box is out of bounds limit for the hand tool. What? Workshop. Marker. Stripes. Vehicle trigger. Rigid body vehicle trigger. Player trigger. Player vehicle trigger. So here's the difference. We found it. This says player trigger, but it needs to be player vehicle trigger. This one is vehicle trigger, so that's correct. Static collision trigger. This one is static collision trigger. Static collision trigger. So this one had the wrong collision. Save. Now we could try to fix the washer too if you want. I'll probably do that later. It looks like they basically added everything they could think of for pressure washers and then didn't do any of it right. It's not an info trigger. This is a washer trigger. And rigid body player trigger. So mobile workshop field repair trailer. The field repair trailer uses scripts, and it doesn't fit for what I need it to be. It's PC only because it has scripts in it, and I think part of the reason they have scripts in it is because there's been a few of us who have been trying to get a mobile workshop to work, and we haven't been able to get it to work. And the only way to get it to work is PC scripts, and we want to be able to do something for all platforms. So it's a minor. This should be washer trigger. We're going to leave the washer trigger there. And then the other thing, the other probable reason why the washer trigger is not working is its size. So the problem is this one overlaps a light. And so the size of this trigger is actually probably causing some problems. So 0.5, 0.5, 0.5, 0.3. So the problem is you also have a trigger right here for the light switch, right? Light trigger. There's a trigger right here for the light switch. There's a trigger for this. So they have to be side by side. And if you have one trigger inside of another, it's not going to work. So what we need to do is what I've already done, is make the trigger for the pressure washer much smaller. Right there. And we're going to center it on the pressure washer itself. And shape 2. Scale Y is fine. Scale Z is fine. So we're going to make it nice and small. So now the pressure washer trigger is smaller. Because there's a light switch right next to it. So, or maybe we could just move the whole thing. Like, you can move the whole washer like this. So it's further away from the light switch, which would make sense also. Let's save. And let's load in the game, see if we fixed anything. I'm hoping we did. So when you use the pressure washer, when you go so far, it gives you a warning. At least it didn't 20. Yeah, so there's a maximum distance for the pressure washer, which we can look at in a minute. We might be able to extend it. I don't know if we can. I've never tried. Continue, deselect, start. If we come here, the pressure washer is right here. High pressure washer, lance node lance. The hand tool holders, blah, blah, blah. Now, this is the default for the high pressure washer. Now, where do we go if we don't know? Well, we open our browser first. I don't have my browser open. And then we look at the XML documentation for placeable. Look for high pressure. What's it called? High pressure washer. If it doesn't show up and we refresh. And there's the other problem. Is the high pressure washer is no longer a placeable. So the pressure washer that's built into this building may or may not work because Giants changed the high pressure washer from being a placeable. It's now a vehicle. And so there's a few places in the code base where this has happened, where it's becoming a problem, where they took away functionality that people used for certain things, and they've now taken it away from where it was. So there's no high pressure washer in a placeable. Like, placeables can't have a high pressure washer anymore. It's not placed. It's a vehicle because Giants decided that their little push cart high pressure washer thing was the right way to go. I wouldn't have taken it out. I would have left, personally, if it was me, I would have left it in because I think people need features, not do things the way we say and nothing else ever. But that's Giants. Hey, Joe, welcome in. Yeah, I'll probably just delete the code to make sure that it's not throwing errors. But the important part here is this coming in here and being able to go. And we're still not getting triggers. Wait, hold on, what? Oh, I'm getting triggers for the silo. Yeah, see, this over here is triggering the light. And so there's no point in having a pressure washer here if it's not going to work. So we can get rid of it. This. What's going on here? Something's going on. 5. So obviously our trigger, we fixed our trigger to make it smaller. But the problem is that this trigger is triggering the light. And this light trigger is not working. So there's a problem with the triggers where the triggers are conflicting. And it may be the reason the pressure washer is not working. So we'll leave it alone for now. But I'm not getting the vehicle trigger here. And again, I think it's because there's overlapping triggers, right? There's a little trigger here on this building. There's a trigger here. Like, we have overlapping triggers and I think that the new game doesn't like the overlapping triggers. So let's fix the overlapping trigger part. So come over here and my workshop. I'm going to put it right here. I'm going to move the whole vehicle, the player trigger, right? I'm going to make it smaller, 0.1, 0.1, and 0.5. Move it. 0. I'm gonna put it right here by the shovels, just because I said so. For some reason, this trigger is not an actual square, which is super weird. I think it's because they want it to be the whole building. And then the marker. Move them. I hate when I like select something that I didn't want to select and it just like takes me out of what I was doing. Right? I hate that. Copy. Paste. So now this player triggers here. We'll make it a little bit bigger, I guess. Wrong way. And then the wrench. Whenever you're moving stuff around in GE, it always helps to look at it from multiple sides and directions. Because if you look at it just from one direction, it's hard to tell positioning. But so if you're new to GE, you want to rotate around something and see where it exists in space to make sure it's where you want it to be. See, this one's a little bit weird. And if you're zoomed in, you're going to position it the best. So right here should be the position. We're going to hit save. We didn't change any code. All we're changing is the position of that stuff. And then also over here, the washer trigger is there. We can move this down. I still kind of want that to get that to work. There's a light trigger here. Light switch. Switch viz. Big lights. Where are the triggers? Transform. Light trigger. Yeah, that's because that's super useful. You make a light trigger the size of the entire building because that's really what you want. No, that's not how triggers work. There's so much weird stuff going on in this file. Rigid body. 0.2. 0.2. 0.2. 5. 1. 1. Now this is the light, the trigger that they have for something. I'm gonna find out where this is in the code. See what it's triggering. Find. This is the light trigger. Copy. Find. Up. Light trigger 1. Light trigger 2. This is turning on indoor floodlights. I think this one is the one we're triggering over here. Where's light trigger 2? Light trigger 2. This 0272. Electrical room lights. Light trigger 2. Where's that? Light trigger 2 is there. Okay. Light trigger 3 is... I don't know where that is. That's inside that room also. It's kind of weird. door triggers, light trigger. Well, there's two things called light trigger. We have one right here. We have one. Oh, those are mine. That's fine. Light trigger 2. Such a mess. Okay, this is the resized light trigger. Let's move it over here to the light switch. Actually, that trigger goes to the fan. And the heater. This is the heater trigger. This one is not a light trigger. This is the heater trigger. Whatever. I'll give you follow the conduit. This is supposed to turn on the heater. I don't know why you'd have a trigger for that, but whatever. I'm going to turn this into the light trigger for now, just to make sure it works. Now that we don't have a light trigger, this is the size of the entire building. Hopefully that'll help us. We go here to freeze transformations, scale, apply. I don't want to rescale it anymore. Now I'm going to turn it back into a rigid body. Go back to the rigid body, collision trigger, close. The reason I copied the light trigger, and we have two right now. We have this one that I just transformed, and we have this one, which is the one we copied, because I want this preset, 1000, shape. What's going on here? Rigid body, shape, 1000, trigger. Set a kinematic. What? I don't understand. Heater motor. Fan. Middle fan blades, shutters. Well, that's super detailed. Electrical. I feel like I'm getting lost here. All right, I don't even know. Having this light trigger though, I think what part of the problem is there's a kinematic light trigger here, which is designed to, I think, as you drive in to be able to get it. So let's not care about the kinematic light trigger for now. I'm gonna hit save. I'm gonna go back in the game and see if we fix the vehicle workshop, because that's really all that matters. The lights are immaterial, and technically you're fixing someone else's mod at this point, because these are prefabs. You've gone from another developer, and it's up to them to fix their own mod. I would go back to them and be like, hey, your triggers are all messed up. This just gets it working for us. But the next step is going back to whoever made this building. I don't know who made it. We could look into it. And tell them, hey, your triggers are messed up. They don't work. I fixed this for ourselves, but that's... I know. And that's the problem with doing this kind of editing is, you know, you can get lost in trigger hell very easily. If SMBModding is still here, do you have a link to the suck up grain silo, wherever, souk up grain silo, wherever you got that. Not very many, Reb Kirby. That's what we're trying to fix, honestly. Custom river bottom modding. Okay, I'll look it up. So now we have our trigger here. So we have the trigger here. Let's physically look at it. The trigger object is, the trigger box is in the right place. Right? But I think it's still being overlapped by other really ridiculous trigger hell triggers. And because of that, it's not working. Or the trigger is not set up right. We did set the trigger up right, didn't we? We moved it right here. Let's just, for argument's sake, let's ignore the lights for now, because those are just killing us. Workshop. The workshop is right here, right? This is our workshop trigger. Let's just, for the sake of argument, let's take these and put them outside. Right? Outside of any other trigger, can't conflict with anything. We're putting it outside. It's on the front step, right? We know there's nothing else out here. Will it work if we come into the player trigger, which is set to rigid body player vehicle trigger? It has a marker. If we come over here, we hit save the shop again. I might be able to hot reload this, because it is a placeable. So we come in here and GS store items reload. Nope, you're gonna have to quit. I don't remember the command to do it. It's one thing that's the biggest thing I'm missing from easy dev tools, is that ability to reload a placeable without Xing out of the game. That's one of the biggest things I'm missing. Because I like that feature. I did find that the souk up bin silo. I did find it on their website, their itch.io. It looks like they haven't updated it in a while. It was updated 75 days ago. The downside is that it's throwing an error in the console, and I'm trying to get rid of that error, and I don't feel like editing their building. Okay, so now we have the trigger outside, so it can't conflict with anything. Yeah, we're not good. It's not. This trigger is messed up. Or. Okay. Let's look at our log. I think I know what's going on. Here, we need this. So the reason it's not working is it doesn't have the right type. So I believe this is the problem. It's not set up as a garage workshop. And it's not set up as a garage workshop with pressure washer, like, which is what it should have. No, the error. So the error in the console that I was talking about, SMB is right here. Fine. CUKUP. This is fine. This warning is not a big deal. That's fine. Whatever. This is the error that I'm worried about. I'm worried about errors. And basically, the grain silo, the shape. There's two pieces. The leg 003 from the grain silo is too big, and basically the model is too big, right? And we could go into Blender and potentially fix that, but that takes Blender and that takes too much time. And I'm just wondering, I was hoping they had an updated version of it, but basically the shapes file, because where it's coming from Blender, it's physically too big. It's probably too detailed. So, yeah. So we changed, what do we change? We were talking about two different things, that's fine. We changed this to be a garage workshop, which is what we want. We also want this stuff. Copy. We actually want validation on our code, because that's important, because then it would have told us that things are wrong. See, it's already telling us things are wrong. Species placeable. It's being all caps now for some stupid reason. The name is not supposed to have an EN. Thank you for telling me. Look at this. It's correcting our code. Oh my, that's so awesome. High pressure washer not supported. High pressure washer is not supported. We could try to make it supported. This is supposed to happen. Wind turbine, hand tool holders, info trigger. This is 81 by 120 workshop. Info trigger. We don't need info trigger. Why would a workshop have an info trigger? That doesn't make sense. Technically, we need to have this high pressure washer here, high pressure washer here. Then this is the new workshop. Yep. I don't know why wind turbine is there. That doesn't need to be there. Income per hour. I think that's for the wind turbine, which it doesn't actually have. Why would you put this stuff? Seriously? 81 by 20 workshop. Lowercase s. Copy. Paste. So what we're doing here is we're defining a custom placeable type. The parent is simple placeable. It's based off of the simple placeable. And then we're adding a bunch of functionality to it. We're adding workshop, hand tool holders, high pressure washer to make sure that hopefully you get the high pressure washer to work, but we're making it a workshop into a workshop. A simple placeable doesn't have the workshop specialization, which is why it's not working. So I think it's not triggers. I don't think it's the fact that there was overlapping triggers at all. I think it's personally just that that one line of code was wrong. It was set up as a simple placeable, not as a workshop. Which technically means most of the rest of the changes we've been trying to get it to work are probably wrong. So it might make sense to, if this is the problem, right, to re-download that thing from wherever we got it from and use the original version and just make sure that the custom type is there, and then it should work. So yeah, there's that red one right there. That's the souk up. There's a couple other red ones there that we're going to fix. Don't worry, we will fix them. I don't release stuff with errors. All right. Our trigger is still outside. It doesn't matter where it is. But our trigger is still outside. If we go up to the trigger... Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And you notice it has the paint condition too, which means we can repaint it. So, what we're going to do... Boom, magic. And basically, we just changed a whole bunch of stuff we didn't need to change. So, what we're going to do, we're going to revert everything and see if it still works. So I'm going to come in here to my folder, help, Harrison Farms. I'm going to unzip the original version, right? Extract all. Extract. I'm going to go up to that placeable is the one we got to work. And for now, I'm going to copy paste. The one that says copy is the one we got to work. And then we're going to come in here, take this, go into placeables. This is the unzipped version of the original shop. And I'm going to take everything, put it over here, replace. Good. Up, up, up. Delete. Now, since we've replaced this file, we have to fix it again. That's fine. So we basically, a lot of what we were doing is we were debugging. We were trying to fix stuff. And really all it needed was this one change, we hope. Save. So now it's the 81 by 120 workshop. Everything else is the same. We haven't touched anything else. Hopefully this will fix it. I hope. Hey, Looney, welcome in. Thanks for being here. So, yeah. So now we're going to try to go in and load in and see if this does what it needs to do. And hopefully it'll work as a player trigger just by going somewhere near that pallet rack, which is where the original trigger was. Obviously, all the same stuff for the high pressure washer is still maybe an issue. We'll see. I don't know if it's going to be an issue. It might not be. Let's try again. How many times have we loaded and created a brand new save game here? Today? Like 12? 15, 20. We created so many save games. You're just creating the save game over and over and over. All right, so it's obviously loaded. It looks right. Nothing has changed. All we did is replace the files internally. All the triggers are back where they were. We have both copies now. We have the old copy and the new copy. Obviously, this trigger here for the high pressure washer. High pressure washer works. Or does it? No. The high pressure washer almost works. Look at that. I'm able to pick it up. I'm able to move around and I'm able to grab it. So I'm able to grab the hand tool. I'm able to put it back on the rack where it goes. That's cool. So that works. Sort of. And there you go. And I look at the trigger. I'm in the trigger area. Where's the trigger? Is it over here? No. If I come here, does this work? Yep. It's actually technically in... Technically, you can get to it in front of the rack too. If you're just kind of like up against the rack, and I should be able to repaint also. Done. So the high pressure washer, I think, doesn't work because Giants changed the code. At least here we can role play with it and be like, whatever. It's not actually spraying water, but I think that it's not spraying water because Giants changed their code. I'm going to leave it at that because I don't want to spend any more time on it, in all honesty, because we have much more important things to do. But yeah, the last thing I want to do today, and we can do it relatively quick, but one of the things that SMB asked me to show, can you also sell there? Like sell vehicles? Good question. You should be able to, because it's a vehicle trigger. I wish you'd asked me while I was still over there, but that's okay. R repaint sell. Yeah, I can sell. Yeah, and so Looney, the reason triggers are an issue is that, and there's a reason for that, just so you guys understand. No, I don't have my farm stick plugged in. Actually, no, I don't have it plugged in. The reason for the trigger issues is they changed how triggers work from 22 to 25. So if you're looking at a converted mod that was converted, especially a building, if it was converted from 22 to 25, there is little teeny tiny minor changes to how triggers work in 25 versus how 22 works. It's a different system. Different numbers mean the same thing. And it's right here. And this is super technical, but when you have a trigger, we have this thing here. And now there's a collision filter group and a filter mask group. They're two separate things. So they're controlling two different parts of being a trigger. And this whole system, this whole panel is different from what it used to be. And so if people are still using the old triggers, like the old types of triggers, there won't be a preset. It'll have the numbers and they'll be wrong, which means that certain things will work and certain things won't work. So some things transfer over okay, but specifically with placeables, if you're not setting your triggers correctly with this new system, some stuff won't work. So I had the same problem when I was converting over my placeables from 22, and they worked mostly when I transferred them over, but I realized when they didn't work, like stuff like a tip trigger, or an exact fill root node, like those kind of things, like when you're trying to like sell to a selling station, if those little minor things don't work, it's because the triggers haven't been updated to 25 standards. Pretty simple. But anyways, we added this pool or pond, and I added this because SMB showed me the overhead map view here. So if we look here, we look at so this is the silo. We'll figure that later out. This is Harrison Farms in real life, right? So this is where Harrison Farms is in real life. And as you can see, there is a pond right here. And so what I did, because it makes sense to me, is I did my best to recreate that pond in the game. So I moved this road, I repositioned the road slightly, and I created the pond very similar to how the pond is created in real life. Now, I made the pond look like a natural pond, where the one here looks like a concrete pond, because you see that looks like concrete around the edges. We could do it both ways. I spent a lot of time decorating this, so I kind of like it. SMB, if you want to leave it, I kind of like it the way it is. But let's do another pond, because there's another pond over here. Well, there's this little corner plot right here. There's this corner plot right here that SMB doesn't have, right? But, like, let's do... because there's one here, there's one there, there's one up here at this house up here. Like, this guy has a big plot of land, and on the map he actually has these two houses right here. There's only one house here, and there's a pool, a pot. There's a lot of like little ponds on the map. Let's put a pond right here. Let's put a pond right here. So how do we do that start to finish? How do we get that pond? So the first thing we need to do is we need water. Where are we going to get water from? Right? And again, what do we always do if we need something? We go to the base game and steal it. So maps, map US, map US.i3. Okay. Yeah, the field bigger, totally. I think that's a good reason. We're just adding in a little pond to show you how to do it. Now, this is the exact same thing I did for that other pond, but how did I do it? Let's find a pond. So we're opening Riverbend. We're going to search for water. Water. There's a lot of water bottles. Water plane. Here we go. Water planes. So if we highlight the water planes, these are all the water planes that are on the map. Now if we highlight individual ones, this is the river. This is this little pond here. That actually might be a good one. There's this pond over here, which I think is the one we already used. Right? And so basically that whole plane is the water. And it's not just like the exact shape that it is. It's bigger. Like we have this water plane here, which is actually like a river, kind of. See the river leading into this water plane shape. But I like water plane 2 over here. Right? Which is this weird shape. But whatever, that's cool. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to take these two things. I'm going to group them. It's going to mess it up. I don't care. And then I'm going to export selection. And I'm going to put it into our map. Again, I'm just going into the base game. Nothing that everyone else doesn't have access to. Placeables. I'm going to put it in map. Was it waterplane 02, I think? 02? Okay, and we exported it, and now we're going to code out of the map. We're not going to save our changes because that would break the game. And now we can go into our map, which is right here. We can close this because we're not messing with it anymore. And we have to navigate. Oops. Let's get out of foliage paint mode. Actually, I just painted foliage by accident. Hold on. Let me get rid of that. And we're going to put a pond right here. Right here. Okay? That's the plan. So, what we're going to do now, let's get out of here. Harrison Farms. We're going to put it in the water plane up here. This is where we put the water plane. Actually, no. We can put the water planes anywhere we want. Since it's residential, I'm going to put it here. This is residential building 10. We can make this into a placeable while we're at it. Go here. Here. replace with reference file. Placeables. Residential building. 10. Open. It rotated for some reason. Is it the back or the front? I thought this was decorated. Anyways, I'll figure out the building later. Let's do the water. So we're going to file, import. Where do we put it? Does anyone remember? It doesn't really matter. Water plane 02. Good. We've imported water plane 02. So water plane 02. Now water plane 02 is part of our map. We're going to put it into... it can't be in this placeholders one, because if we put it in the placeholders one, then it will not render. So we're going to put it here. We're going to put it, I'm going to group it. We're going to say deco water plane. Doesn't matter where we put it. And then we're going to go Control B on the water plane group. Put it here. That's a pretty big pond. So let's resize it like this. Rotate it. And the water goes underneath the house a little bit, but I don't care. Okay. So now if you look, if you pull it up, see that? Yeah, the water planes, everything's objects. Everything is all an object. So what we're going to do is now I'm going to go into terrain mode. And I'm going to lower the terrain. Terrain, select slope target. That's what I want. Middle mouse button, subtract. Okay, so I've lowered the terrain. And I'm going to select the slope target in the middle. And I'm selecting this, basically I'm selecting what I did. If we look at it, we can tell here if I do this. If I come up here to this part, and I go terrain, I can see the terrain. See how I basically set the middle of the pool? I set a depth, basically. And this is my maximum depth. And then I'm using the slope tool. And I'm going to make this a little bit less strong. Oops. Undo. And I'm basically setting the bottom of the pool to all be the same height. So when I change, basically make this pond bigger, it's all going to be one depth, right? It doesn't need to be deep. It just needs to be there. Now, it's hard to paint in this mode because, you know, I don't need to see the terrain. So what we're going to do is just do this and paint ourselves a pool around the house. Right? Just do that. All right. That mostly works. Now here's the problem. Is this, the cutout or whatever that was part of the original shape is kind of in our way now because it's not covering the land that I want it to cover. And so it's up to me to move it. So I'm just going to rotate this. I'm going to get out of terrain mode. Rotate this around so it's more like this. So it lets me do what I want. And if this is the wrong size, I can just do 1.2. It makes it bigger. That, and then if I go edit, freeze transformation. Again, I'm changing the group, not the actual planes. The planes will update. Right? And then Like if I wanted to do like this, I could do, where's the thing? Subtract, add. Got terrain manipulation again. We're still set on the slope target, so I can round these things out, right? And we could also do something like this, where we go like this. Right? And then change our thing to smooth. Like that. We can put a little island in the middle of our pool. And I'm just going to clean up the slope stuff. And then we'll put a decorative tree right here in the middle of the pool, right? So we're going to go import, cancel actually. What else do we need to do? We need to paint it, right? Painting makes sense. First, we're going to go to foliage. We're going to turn off, get rid of the grass, because grass doesn't grow underwater. A lot of map developers and map makers really don't understand that concept, which always surprises me when someone releases a map and you look in the water and the water is filled with grass under the water surface, which doesn't make sense in how the world works. We don't need that anymore. We can go into paint mode, paint down some dirt. We can turn off our water planes so we can see what we're painting. So this is our pool under the water, right? Just gonna make a muddy pool at the bottom. Come in here, do some rock floor tiles. What's a rock floor tile? Oh, that's not what I want. I want rocks. Mountain rock. And then we want some sand. Where's the sand? By the way, I love the fact that you added sand in this map. Sand's always a good one. Especially for when you're like doing this kind of stuff. Sand around the edges. Right? Sand here. Then mossy rocks. Mud. And this is just like whatever. This is kind of the art form part of it. Right now we have our pool. Looks like a pretty cool pond. I actually don't like the shape of it right now. I don't think it would go perfectly square on the sides. So what I'm going to do is I'm set the train height here. I'm going to right click to set the train height with a slope target. And then I'm going to re-slope the outside edge of the pool to make it more natural looking. Okay. Which means, of course, I have to repaint again, which is fine. Which means I have to put in grass again, which is fine. And then now, actually, let's get the tree in here. So turn this off. We need a tree. We don't want an oak. We don't want an elm. But we want to be in the tree group. Oh, farm 1 pond. That's where it is. Put this right here. Put that there. That's good. Delete. And we want file, import as reference. Go back, get a tree. What kind of tree we want in the middle of this pond? We want a willow tree, a large one. Thank you, Bruce. I was just going to ask that question. You read my mind. Placeables. Where is it? No, it's not in placeable. It's in maps. Trees. Japanese willow. It's a Japanese willow, right? No, it's a willow. Where's the willow? Where's the willow? Golden rain? What the hell's a golden rain? Does anyone know what a golden rain is? Yeah, that's what I figured. But do we have willow trees in the game anymore? That's not what I want. Wow. Import as reference. I don't see willow in here. Unless it's one of these weird ones that I don't know the name of. It's not what I want. Wow. Import as reference. Does anyone know what the willow tree's called? It's not this one. Yeah, no. That stinks. I mean, it doesn't matter. We could pull from Farm Sim 22 if we want. Let's pull from Farm Sim 22. Let's go to data. We're gonna pull from Farm Sim 22. It doesn't matter. It's just decoration. Farm Sim 22, data, maps, trees, willow, type 2 var open. This. Control B. See, that looks beautiful. And actually, so that's what we want. And then we have this one for, since we're pulling from 22, we can't pull as reference. We have to actually pull it in. So we have to import this one from there. Move this up here at the end. And then we Control B, click. And let's move it where it needs to go. Right here in the middle of this little island. And then we'll decorate around it. Right? Right. So water plants. The new water plants I'm actually really liking. And with the water plants, you kind of have to layer. Right? So you're going to do layers. And you want some of them under the water. So we're going to do this quick. I'll come back later and make it. These ones can be underwater because they're water plants, i.e. water plants. We'll do a couple large ones here. These are the flowers. Flowers look good. I like the flowers. And like the big thing when you're painting and painting or like around a lake or whatever is a lot of what you're doing is you are creating an atmosphere, and so when you're building it out, you definitely have to layer the different sizes and colors and shapes. Like this in general. And I just realized something we have to do. Okay, and then we're gonna, the one thing we didn't do, we should have done before we started this process, is come in here and go to smooth and smooth out the bank, because right now it's choppy. Because we mess with it. We want to smooth it out. And the wider your smooth, the more of a slope you have. And then, of course, after we smooth, some of these trees are actually in the wrong place. Let's smooth this. Whoops. Okay. Move this one a little bit away from the water's edge. This one needs to come over this way. Back to foliage paint mode. Small ones. And then go back to our... I'm like making stuff up here, folks. I'm not like, I don't actually know what I'm doing. Make sure the grass goes up to the water's edge. And we'll get a few bushes here and there. And I could sit here decorating for forever. But let's look and see what this looks like in game, right? Because we just made something awesome, right? That looks awesome. So let's hit save. Make sure we save our work. I'm actually gonna have to go too. So let's just save our work real quick, and then let's go into the map and look at it. Now then we're gonna call it. Oh wait, I'm already in the game. Save. But that's how, without actually doing things... Now, obviously, I'm stealing stuff from base game, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if you wanted a piece of water that's a different shape or a different size than this, then you either take an existing one and change it, or you make your own water planes. And making your own water planes is essentially the same process that we've been using all along. Where if you have a water plane that you want a specific shape to, you design that shape in Blender, bring it in here, and then in these shapes and stuff like that, you're defining the water, you're defining the collision for the water, and then you define how it looks in Blender. That's not something I know how to do, so I can't instruct you how to do it. For me, doing something like this to add a little bit of color to a map makes sense, and is a much easier task. And then I think next time we're going to work on farm 2. So farm 2 has a couple issues. Number one is an error in the log for the current the cow barn, and I don't know how to fix it, but we're going to figure it out together, and we'll fix the cow barn. And then there'll be 2 farms, and then we'll be done. Let's look at it one more time. Harrison Farms, continue. You select all, player movements, start. Yeah, it's okay for Garage. I always leave these recordings up, so if you want to watch it and have some interesting how to do it. Unfortunately, we wasted about 30 minutes at the beginning by like looking at an old version of the map. We're trying to figure out why something wasn't showing up. But neither here nor there. Okay, and we're going to jump up here to this one, visit. And the house isn't working, but because we didn't actually finish doing the work for the house, that's fine. I actually want to put a different house here. But you can see our beautiful lake that we just created. Right? Isn't this beautiful? Nice little lake. It does the lake stuff, the water stuff. I think it's great. It adds just a little bit of feature color to the map. You could come in here and fill up with your trailer. I don't think this is deep enough. I think it's probably deep enough, just barely, to sink your vehicle, but it is what it is. All right, and so that's how we create a water feature. Obviously, we have this other water feature down here. Right, so the other water feature I did off stream was this one, and we were kind of showing you how I did it. And so that's how we create a water feature, and that's how we do that. And all we did was take stuff from the base game. So we haven't created anything net new. We haven't taken anything crazy. We're just... I'm not even touching my keyboard, and I'm still running. There's problems with my computer. But that's going to be it for me today. I want to say thank you. Everyone, we'll look at the water when I say thank you, actually. So pretty. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Thank you for watching. Thank you for coming along and joining this little fun while we fixed some stuff. We fixed a mod. We fixed our own placeable. We made the farmhouse over there nicely decorated. We added 2 water features. And then next time we'll fix farm 2, and then we're pretty much done. So thank you, everyone, for being here. If you have any questions at all, always, please reach out on Discord. I'm always available in Discord. I'm happy to answer any questions or help you out in any way you want. If you want to learn how to do some of this stuff and you want some kind of like one-on-one kind of training, let me know. The top tier members, our top tier members, there's a group above this. They do get one-on-one training. So if you do want this like one-on-one, want me to show you one-on-one how to do stuff so you can ask questions, that's one of the biggest benefits for joining the membership. So if you'd like to click that membership button down below, helps out the channel a lot. If you want to join that top tier of patrons and get some kind of one-on-one training, and I can show you everything I know, I'm happy to share everything I know. Thanks for watching. Thanks for everyone for being here. And I'll catch everyone next time. Bye-bye.